guys, this is part 2 of my cat calendar series, and today we're going to be working on February's illustration. If you missed last month's cat, no worries, you can go back and watch the video. It's upside down. This is what we made last month. Let's just jump right into February, guys. Let's do it.
Like with all great projects, we begin at Pinterest. I don't start any project until I have consulted the Pinterest boards. For this project, I knew it would be a great opportunity to try and do an illustration involving 2 cats, because I think that I'm going to go down the Valentine's Day route. Obviously, it's February, and that is the major holiday. It also happens to be one of my favorite holidays. So I looked up 2 cats cuddling, and that's where I started to kind of get some inspiration about like poses for the cats. And then I went straight into finding colors and different textures and patterns that I might want to use later in the illustration. And all of this will be compiled in my Milanotes folder.
Welcome to my floor. We're going to talk about Milanotes. Here is my Milanotes, where I keep all of the things that I found on Pinterest, as well as notes and a couple colors that I think I really want to incorporate into this illustration. So we've got this pose that I'm really hoping to work in. I really like that their tails are making a heart. I feel like that is so cute. And I really want to do something with like a checkered pattern or stripy or swirly, something. I'm cooking up something, and I'm ready to start sketching because I got a lot of ideas and I want to just get it right out onto the paper. I need to take a moment to appreciate how cute Ginger is today. She is sleeping in her favorite spot, which is on my Pinkie Pie Squishmallow. Actually, I don't think it's a Squishmallow. I think it's some sort of knockoff Squishmallow. She loves this thing, even though it's flattened to death. And she gets so mad when I have to sit in my chair. But she's peacefully sleeping here right now. Very happy that I'm not sitting where she wants to be. All right, that's all. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so like I previously mentioned, my initial thought is to do 2 cats with their tails making a heart shape as they're cuddling and sleeping, because I just feel like that is such a cute Valentine's Day nod. I just love that that is something that actually happens when cats cuddle. Their tails kind of hold on to each other and they can make little hearts. But I, of course, wanted to play with a couple of their ideas before deciding on that one, because I think that's important with iteration, is to always try other things before you go with your first idea. And that's a bad habit of mine too, is just going straight for the first thing that I do. So I really try to, push myself to think of other things, even though I think I'm going to go with the first one that I did. So I tried some cats kissing and looking at each other, and then I just tried another cuddle pose. But in the end, I think that I will probably be going with the first one that I drew. So I know that I mentioned previously that I'm going to be going with this idea here, but although I really like the pose, I'm not yet convinced on the background. So I'm going to do just a little bit more iteration. I almost like the idea of not only their tails making that heart shape, but their like little arched bodies making that heart shape, where they'll be holding each other with their little paws, their tails. Now the question is, do I make their eyes both closed? What kind of stripes am I going to give them? So I mentioned before that I really want to do checkered, which is true. I do really want to do checkered, but I want to make sure there's nothing else that I want to add, because it could end up looking a little too plain. I like how in my first illustration I kind of added these elements about the new year alongside the cat, even though it was kind of in a more abstract environment. I like the idea of like having a stamp, because Valentine's Day is all about letters and like being with the one that you love and care about. I think I'm liking this better. Sorry, Ginger. No. All right, so we have finally made it to the final sketch for this illustration. I like to start everything really light and really loose with a graphite pencil, and from there I just go on and draw using my reference from my sketchbook. And I don't know why, but I was having a really hard time getting just the placement of the heads for the cats, and then also to like getting their bodies to work, because I did want to do that like slightly over exaggerated back arch to make it look like they're forming a heart shape with their bodies. But yeah, I was also struggling just with the faces and doing all of that. But I do think in the end I got it to a place that I really like, adding in the little envelopes and then sketching in the postage stamp. And I decided to put like a cute little bow on it. I also decided to film from a different angle this time. That way it was a little bit easier to see what I was drawing and my hand wasn't always covering it up. Okay, so now that I have finished my drawing, I'm going to take it into Procreate to do some color comps. And here are the 3 that I ended up doing in Procreate. And this one is the one that I'm going to be going with. Overall, I think this one matches the color scheme and the vibe of what I was going for when I was making my Milanotes inspiration board. So I just got a set of tempera paint sticks. They are really cool. They're almost like coloring something in with lipstick. That's kind of the texture they give. And so I'm very excited to have my own set now. So before I do anything with them, I definitely want to go ahead and do like a swatch / test page just to make sure I kind of practiced with them before putting them on to my final illustration, just so that I don't make any mistakes. I think there's 15. Very, very excited. See, it's very much like lipstick almost. Wow. I might be obsessed. They're so like smooth. And I've heard that they're resistant to smudging. Like, look at that. Wow. And they dried almost instantly too. I'm very curious about how they're gonna layer over each other. I'm glad I went and got the 15 because they did sell a pack with fewer colors. I think that it was good that I got the pack with more of them, because now I have more variations in color. You know, like I have not just one green shade, but 2 green shades and so many blue shades. Oh my gosh. This one, this is gonna be a favorite, I know. Okay, so the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. I'm going to start working on this final illustration and we get to color it in. This is definitely my favorite part and I think it's the most fun part to watch. So let's get right into it. So like with every illustration, I start with loosely erasing all of my pencil marking until I can barely see it. And that just helps hide the pencil when I go over it with a colored pencil. And now I am starting to tape down over the cats and all of the areas that I've drawn on, so that when I come through with the tempera paint sticks, I'm not gonna have to worry about being careful around the edges, because it's a pretty thick point. It's definitely not for any fine lines. So I just wanna make sure I'm covering up everything I've drawn. That way I don't have to worry about going over it super carefully.
Now that I've got it taped up as best I can, I am going to start picking out the colors that I want to use. I am just loosely basing the colors that I'm picking out on what I did in the color comp. Unfortunately, I hadn't yet gotten my tempera paint markers, so I didn't know exactly how well the colors were going to match up, and so it's not quite the same as what I tried to put together on Procreate, but I honestly think that it turned out a lot better because it matches, in my opinion, with the first illustration that I did for January a lot, and I'm trying to keep a similar color story, at least in terms of like saturation. So I think it worked out in the end anyway. Also, forgive my voice. I have recently gotten sick and I am just trying to push through here with the voiceover. So sorry if I sound a little bit groggy or like stuffed up, because I am. It has been so much fun playing around with these paint sticks. I've been really interested in trying just a bunch of different types of mediums recently, and I first found out about these while hanging out with my nephews. We were doing art together and their mom had brought out the tempera paint sticks that she had, and I just loved using them. It was so much fun, and I loved the texture that they added, so I immediately got my own and I'm just having a blast with them. So I am coming up on almost 2 years since graduating from college, which is insane for me to think about or to even say out loud, because I feel like I was in college yesterday. And for those of you who do not know, I went to school for animation, and for the longest time, that is like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an animator, I wanted to go into the industry, but going through school kind of taught me that as much as I love animation and being creative in that way, it is not sustainable for my body. And so when I graduated, I felt really lost and like unsure of where I was going to go next, because I was dealing with a lot of chronic pain due to animating. And since I was dealing with that, I just decided to take a break and do animation, but like not as hardcore as I was going before. And that led me to a lot of new avenues of creativity. I started to sew. I started picking up traditional art again, which I hadn't done in so long. I was just primarily doing digital for so many years that it felt like I didn't even know where to start with traditional art anymore. And I feel like that's kind of another thing that led me to doing cats and coming up with the idea for this project, was returning to my roots and going back to what I loved, which was colored pencil and traditional art. It's just been really cool to see as well. I feel like a lot of people are leaning towards more hands-on crafts. I've been seeing this huge push for hobbies and analog crafts, or whatever that means. Just like people trying to get off of their phones more and doing more stuff with their hands, which I think is super cool. I think another one of my really big goals with this series is to continue to try new things. I want them to all have a cohesive look, of course, but I also want to keep trying new mediums. So it was really fun to pick up these tempera paint sticks. Let me know if you ever try them out. I've never heard of them until recently, and I honestly think that they're just a lot of fun to just play with. Also, let me know what other mediums you think I should try out for the next month. I've been interested in maybe trying paper cutouts, or doing an illustration where I use acrylic paint or my Posca pens or even markers. So I'm really open to lots of ideas, and I'm just excited to mess around and discover new things. Oh my goodness, so I've just been yapping this whole time, and I haven't really talked about what all I'm doing in the illustration here. So as you can see, I have finished the first cat.
and I decided to do the orange kitty first because I'm biased. But now I'm moving on to the purpley / gray cat, and I'm just doing my first layer of colored pencil. I tried to build everything up in layers, so I'll do like a really fine pass and I'll just keep going until I feel happy with the final product. And of course, my favorite detail is always the eyes when I get to kind of flesh out the face of the character. So here's the close-up of me doing that. And it's honestly really satisfying to watch this sped up. When you guys are working on a piece, do you stick to one area until it's totally done, or do you go around and work on different areas little by little? I think for me, I build up one area to see how I like it, and then I'll try and replicate it for the rest of it, and I'll just keep going in chunks so I don't get bored. And you can definitely see that here as I started with the face and the arm, and then I went to the body, which I'm doing now, and then I'll slowly make my way to the leg and the tail, and then I'll just cycle back around over and over again. For the finishing touches, I come back with a really deep dark purple, and I just finish kind of going over everything until I feel like the depth and the contrast is good enough. And here is the final piece.
We did it, guys. That concludes this month's cat calendar illustration. I am really happy with how this one turned out. I was pretty excited about this one because I was looking forward to doing 2 cats, and I think that it turned out really cute. So I hope you guys like it as well. Make sure to like and subscribe if you would like to see next month's illustration. And comment down below if you guys are doing anything fun for Valentine's Day. I'd love to hear all about it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.